Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast, the Cubs are moving on from Mervis. They trade one prospect for another. How's the new guy fit, and who is he? Plus, Corbin Burnes staying in the National League, and I made the perfect grilled cheese. Bon appetit! CHGO Cubs next. Oh, yeah, I did. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast. It is Monday, December 30th, counting down 2024, and we're ready to talk Cubs baseball. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo with you. Mixmaster Sean running the ones and twos today for us. Shout out to Sean. Yeah, Mixmaster Sean.
How old is Luke Stuckmeyer? Do you want to take guesses?
52?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Not for too much longer,
I remember when
though.
he turned 50 when in year one.
That's right. And nobody got me anything. Not a single present from this place.
I give you my presents 5 days a week. 4 days a week, technically.
Yes, Corbin Burnes has a team, and as Cody pointed out, he's not technically – he's returning to the National League, not staying in the National League.
I just figured that
Don't let the facts get in the way of
I figured someone in the chat would correct you, but I just went ahead and did it for you. So, anyway.
Craig Brindle says Vidal Brujan.
I think he's correcting me because I didn't know how to say his name yesterday. When
That's good. I didn't know how to say it either. Brujan, Vidal Brujan. I'll go with that.
That's phonetically how it says.
Let's go with it right now.
Vidal Brujan.
Vidal Brujan. Sean Newbank says Sickos Unite. That's why we're here. Good morning, Gary.
It's Shane, by the way, not Sean.
What did I say?
You said Sean.
Man, I'm off today.
It's Monday.
Really
I'm always
off.
on your mind. You're
is.
always thinking of me, Luke, and it's very sweet of you.
Thanks, Mixmaster. Shane. From now on, you're Mixmaster Shane. Yeah, we have some stuff to talk about. We will talk about the grilled cheese because if you didn't see it on Twitter, I did post I was making dinner last night, and I posted a picture of the grilled cheese that I made.
Yep.
Not just a grilled cheese, a grilled ham and cheese. And it set the internet on fire. As you would say, it blew up the internet. It broke the internet.
It was
viral.
Like I said earlier, it was the most engaged tweet you've had since you tweeted the White Hen mug.
Which was epic. Look at that bad boy. And I mean, here's the deal. So we'll get to Mervis because I know it's a huge trade for a lot of you guys. The grilled cheese is a very fine delicacy that you have to put together correctly. You don't want to under-grill it. You don't want to over-grill it. And I got a lot of – some people agreed with me. Yep, that's perfect. I said, I think it's the perfect one. I got a little pushback. I'm glad I didn't get somebody saying it's not dark enough, it's not light enough, yada, yada, yada. Right away, Steven comes in, where's the cheese? Where's the cheese? This is a perfectly portioned grilled cheese. There's a bite of cheese with every bite of ham, honey-baked ham. Mind you, leftover honey-baked ham. So there's a little brown sugar mixed in underneath there. You've got Havarti cheese mixed in, and it perfectly fits the bread. Then I got someone feeding back on Twitter. You know, I do agree. He said, first of all, what kind of cheese is it? He prefers provolone. I went Havarti.
Ooh.
Huh?
Jason in the chat says Havarti cheese for the win.
Thank you, baseball junkie. Chef Luke, I'd like to be referred to that from now on, if you don't mind. So Chef Luke went out and put Havarti on the honey-baked ham. It was butter bread from Pepperidge Farm.
Ooh, that's good bread.
It was good bread.
I'm a brownberry guy, but yeah.
Good bread.
It is good bread.
And then somebody said, well, yeah, but what you're missing is a bowl of soup to go with it.
Ah, yes.
Just not photographed homemade chicken soup.
I would have gone tomato. I would have gone tomato.
Homemade chicken noodle.
That's fine, though. That'll do.
Evil Wax, I'm making you hungry, huh?
If this conversation isn't telling you where we're at in Cubs off season.
That's right, Jason, for the win. Havarti for the win. There aren't too many cheeses I like better than Havarti.
If I were to rank my cheeses, I'd go pepper jack number 1.
Really?
Sharp cheddar number 2. Provolone number 3.
Oh.
Mozzarella number 4. Havarti might make it to number 5 for me. Maybe. I don't get it very often. But those first 2 are what I normally buy.
I like Havarti. Have you ever had Wisconsin brick cheese? Huh?
Is that a Bragg's
Steven knows.
thing?
It's like a Havarti. It's a mild, white, creamy cheese. It's probably better than Havarti, but it's kind of hard to find nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. My wife is a charcuterie master.
Oh, yeah.
I like the 1,000-year aged Gouda. I don't know if it's been truly 1,000-year age.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just 1,000 days. I could be just misremembering the name, but it's aged, and it has these beautiful salt crystals. Highly recommend.
Gouda's good. I got a question about Gouda.
I do like Gouda as well.
I was in the store last night trying to find Gruyere for a recipe my wife was making. Are Gruyere and Gouda actually the same thing? Or is Gouda a type of Gruyere? Or is there a brand of cheese called Gruyere? Because it said Gruyere Gouda on the same thing. I'm like, huh? Is it a type of Gouda? It's Switzerland. Gruyere is Switzerland. That's why I ended up getting it.
It's good. I'm not sure.
Anyways.
My favorite part
This will be a cheesy podcast.
Yeah.
But bumps.
They're alternatives.
My
Reddit says they are alternatives to one another. So maybe they're cousins.
They're cousins.
Yeah.
They're cousins.
Cheese cousins.
Cheesy cousins.
I'm a big fan of the cheese section at Mariano's. Big fan. Could live in it.
They got a nice little area there. They
just
do.
love cheese in general, by the way.
I could eat Havarti cheese, just slices of it.
Same. I could
Right?
just eat cheese.
And Sean's right. A good charcuterie board, underrated. It's got to have a good fig jam on it, though.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got to have prosciutto.
Yep, got to have the prosciutto. The crackers matter. Yes.
Craig Brindle, if it comes from
If you
Wisconsin,
were
it probably
to-
lacks taste. That's not true. It's good.
If you were to describe the Cubs version of a charcuterie board, what are they missing?
Meat. They're
Meat.
missing the meat.
Okay.
They have plenty of honeydew melon and cantaloupe.
What's the cheese considered of? Like,
Oh, they have cheese. They have some cheese.
what's the cheese though?
Oh, the cheese is important. You got to have good cheese on a charcuterie board. But they're missing this. They've been missing the superstar. They've been missing the prosciutto. What board doesn't have prosciutto on it?
I have no idea what team are you talking about? Are you blasting the
Cubs.
Brewers right now or the White Sox? Or
Cody
the Cubs?
tried to make me talk Cubs baseball, and so he said, "Hey, speaking of charcuterie boards, what would the Cubs be missing on theirs if they were a charcuterie board?" I said they're missing the prosciutto, the meat.
They just traded for Kyle Tucker, Luke.
Well, now they have a piece of salami.
And I'm asking about now, yeah.
But now they've lost Matt Mervis.
Right.
Is he one of the 3 Italian meats?
So
Is
there
he
goes-
the
no,
prosciutto to the
no.
salami to the?
He's the mashed taters, which don't belong on a charcuterie board because they're not major league quality.
Okay.
Anyways, it was a grilled cheese, and if you don't think it was great, trust me, it was.
We'll never forget this moment.
I guess that's the big news over the weekend is the Matt Mervis trade. Like from what I've heard over the last, they've been trying to get rid of Matt Mervis for 2 years. Not like just sell him off, but they've known that he's not part of their future for a long time. He didn't even get a chance to really come back. Right? Are you disappointed that Mervis is gone? The Matt Mervis. I'm only disappointed because the T-shirts we can't print. I only wanted him to come up because I wanted to do a highlight someday where I could say he likes his taters mashed.
Yeah. SBA.
Are you still doing highlights? I think that part of your career ended like
in my
15
head,
years
occasionally I'll
ago.
do a highlight. Mash Mervis, he likes his taters mashed.
It's good social content.
Yeah, I used to do that highlight anyways, even before him.
SBA 223 in the chat says, remember when you guys dedicated hours of attention to Mervis as the latest Cub savior that busted? Casey is next. Now, we can talk about Casey down the road, but as far as like that, I mean, it's not that I don't know if we ever thought he was the savior. It was just more about he never got. We wanted him to get the opportunity, and to be honest, he never got a full opportunity, in my opinion. And it's very telling to how the Cubs viewed him to begin with. We watched PCA suck at the plate for 2 months.
Stuck with him.
And they stuck with him. That shows that they clearly believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
They gave Mervis, a month in 23? And gave Eric Hosmer, washed Eric Hosmer.
What do you end up with,
the
Sean?
opportunity at the beginning of the year?
400 at bats?
116.
That's all he got is 116 major league at bats?
116 at bats, 18 hits, 3 doubles and 3 homers.
They knew and never believed. Or they think they know.
And after Eric Hosmer, then Mervis finally got shot. And to the Cubs' credit, Mervis didn't take advantage of the opportunity.
No, he didn't.
And then they went back to Trey Mancini, and then they finally cut him in the middle of the season when they waited way too long with that. But still, we never saw Mervis again in 23. I know 23 went, they outperformed projections in 23 in a way, right? They were projected for 78 wins. They won 83, right? That they should have made the playoffs. They were projected for 90 wins entering September in 23, right? So I'm not saying that you should have called up Mervis at the end of the year. Whatever. All I'm saying is he didn't get a massive opportunity. They didn't let him go through the ups and downs of being a rookie player, right? And again, I'm not saying that the process was wrong on the Cubs because he did not take advantage of the opportunity that he did have, even though it was a short one. He got called up last year, didn't take advantage of that opportunity either. So I'm not criticizing the Cubs on the process. I'm not even really, but I'm also not saying that Matt Mervis was a bust. I would not be surprised if he goes to Miami and carves out a career.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be interesting. I
just think that I also, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, let's go ahead.
I just want to say that to end it, it's the fact that what bothers me the most that they didn't give him more of an opportunity is because he was 26. It's not like he's 21, 22 years old like Owen Casey. We're talking about a guy who was past 25, and it's just let's get to that point where you're for sure about it, I guess. That again, I think the process is fine. They clearly weren't believers. They clearly were never believers, or else we would have saw more of them. And that's fine. Tater
had a comment that I thought was good in the live YouTube chat. Said he knows we're not directly comparing him to PCA when you talked about PCA getting a longer leash. PCA, obviously elite defense, is another reason they were willing to say, let's ride this out. And he was definitely a higher rated prospect than ever Matt Mervis was.
And that's the thing, too. Michael Busch, for example, top 50 prospect in baseball when the Cubs traded for him.
Right.
They sent Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope for him.
Future Cy Young.
Future Hall of Famer, according to Barb. And Zaire Hope found himself in the top 100 of major league prospects or minor league prospects going after the season, too. So they sent 2 really solid prospects for a guy who's going to play first base for them for a while now. So obviously there was more of a, I think there was more belief in the Cubs in that. Actually, and just making the trade itself says how much they really ever believed in Mervis. To me, if there's any criticism that I have, is that they just didn't move on from Mervis earlier. Why not move him after 23? I bet you just maybe you could have got more for him then. Does it matter? No, not really. But I just never understood why he was here in 24. As much as they didn't give him the opportunity, there also wasn't really a spot for him. Like you just said, he wasn't good defensively. His value was he had to hit, and if he didn't hit, he didn't have any value. That's the difference between him and PCA.
Somebody in the chat, I'm sorry I didn't catch the name. It was the comment was in all caps, and it was you guys were all over him when he made his debut. There was nothing else to talk about. Did you remember when he got called up? It was please bring up Mervis so we have something.
Yes,
and he was unfairly looked at as the next great. He was supposed to be Rizzo, is the way fans were trying to. He's this big guy. He's left-handed. He's going to hit like Rizzo.
We weren't the only people that
I was more
that.
excited about the grilled ham and cheese I had last night than I was Matt Mervis. No offense to Matt Mervis, because I like that ham and cheese.
To push back a little bit on that, too, is every day we would come and do this show, and half the YouTube chat was call up Mervis already. Call up Mervis already. All right? I totally agree that we should have saw more, but we never said that he was going to be the next great guy. We always we hoped, dreamed, a little bit,
A lot of hope and agreement around here.
What else were we supposed to do,
That's
brother?
all we do. We'll talk about the guy they're getting back in the trade and is there a fit and why it's slightly odd in just a second. But first, some of our sponsors. With Empire Today, you get to shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, and speed, so competitors that advertise low-quality products that Empire's not even going to carry. They're not going to promise you the lowest prices because anybody that's doing that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their house. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices. They got a great virtual floor designer, too. You just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. Shopping for flooring at the big box store? You can go ahead and do it, but you might have someone that was cutting down Christmas trees the day before or working in plumbing the week before that. They also service their own warranties at Empire Today. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners, all of you, can receive a $350 discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. Cody, did you know that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient?
I didn't know that ComEd did that, Luke.
Boy, it's important going into 2025. Yeah, the energy efficiency program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
Wow. So what does a business have to do?
All they have to do is sign up for the free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
Why aren't more businesses doing it, Luke?
They're not paying attention to the website. That's the only thing I can think of because it's so simple.
Really? Huh. ComEd.com/biz. ComEd.com/biz. ComEd.com/biz.
That should do it. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customer's energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. All right, we're talking about Matt Mervis to the Marlins. And on the return side, how is it pronounced? Vidal Brujan? Vidal Brujan. Also 26. Mervis might be 27 now. Yeah. But 26, so not a young guy. Made his debut with the Rays in 2021. The Marlins technically designated him for assignment, so this means the Cubs must have somebody was ready to claim him. The Cubs must have wanted him.
Someone said to me on Twitter yesterday.
Interesting.
It might have been Twitter or it might have been my TikTok live last night. I don't remember, but I'm not sure if this is true. Maybe the chat can help us out. But when the Cubs were trying to trade Chris Bryant in 21, was this guy? Were the Rays interested in Chris Bryant at all? I don't remember Bryant being involved with the Rays in trade conversations leading up to the deadline. But someone said that to me in one of those two platforms yesterday.
And he would have been one of the players. Interesting. If that's true, it would have been interesting. Now, he's had 550 Major League plate appearances in 4 years, most of that with the Rays. Unlike Mervis, he is very versatile defensively. Can play short, can play third, can play first, can play any of the outfield spots. Like, you can literally play him anywhere.
Yeah.
So that gives you good versatility.
Right.
Here's the odd part about it, though. He has no minor league options. So if the Cubs, he's on the 40-man. If the Cubs are looking for this guy to be part of their franchise, obviously they are. They gave money, too, along with Mervis, which is very un-Cub-like, but I think that also impacts their ability to stay in line for waiver claims. But I digress. Who's he going to beat out?
Well, let's just look
Who's he beating out?
Let's just look at like the most obvious like role that this guy's going to have, and that's a bench role, right? Like this guy is
super utility guy.
This isn't going to lead to Nico Horner being traded or anything like that.
But he could fill in for Nico if Nico.
Yeah, sure. Again, like you said, versatile. 31 games at second base, 28 at shortstop, and 14 at third base last year. I mean, he also played all three outfield positions too, and he played one game at first base. So yeah, he's played everywhere.
So he gives you a backup for one game at almost anywhere.
But I would assume we're talking about a combination of who's he beating out. He's going to be trying to beat out Miles Mastroboni, Gage Workman,
Ben Collis.
and Ben Collis.
Doesn't Collis have to make the team too? I believe so.
If he's on the 40-man. So, and there's just no way the Cubs can keep
Luis
all
Vasquez?
4 of these. Yeah, Luis Vasquez is on the 40-man. Like, I think this is one of those, like, just let's wait a month and see how this plays out, because I just don't see all of those guys being on this 40-man.
I think it shows you two things. One, they prefer having the flexibility of, even if this guy doesn't make the team, he gives you more competition and he gives more value to the team because he could play all these positions, which they might need multiple guys because they're not sure about third. They're not sure about second right now going into the season in spring training. So he gives you a little versatility that Mervis did not. It also points out they did not. Mervis was never going to be part of this.
No.
Just was not. For all the Mervis fans that are out there.
You bring up this guy's Fangraphs page and you're like, yikes, because he's been a negative WAR player every single year of his career, right? But last year in Miami, he played the most games of his career. He played 102 games. So he got a little bit of an opportunity to actually try and prove something. And even though the numbers are still bad, they're still better than what he ever did with Tampa Bay. But, yeah, I mean, this is clearly a change of scenery. Like, I don't even want to call it a lightning in a bottle, because it's when we use that term, the guy has normally had success in the past. This guy has never had any success at the major league level.
No, not. So, I was reading Cerami was talking about it. Not a good contact guy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in the chat and on Twitter and all over the place, Discord. I was there last night.
Good for you.
Everybody wants to compare him to Mastroboni. He's another Master. Wasn't Mastroboni from the Rays too?
Yeah.
So we're just taking any utility guy that the Rays are getting rid of and hoping they're the next Ben Zobrist. Is that what we're doing? Any utility guy the Rays have, could he be our next Ben Zobrist? I would think that some of these guys, does it mean Mastroboni could be coming up included in a trade? Does it mean he might be included? Right? It goes back to the Paredes thing. Just because you've acquired him and added to your 40-man doesn't mean he's staying here. Like, do they think another team might have wanted him, potentially even in the waiver claim, right? And maybe the Cubs are talking to that team already in trade talks to try and find another starter, a.k.a. I'm just throwing out scenarios out there. Well, now you've added a guy that you know that they want. And it cost you nothing because you weren't counting on Matt Mervis. Matt Mervis was not even a chess piece for you, right, and some cash. There's a lot of possibilities for it. I'm not sure I have a clear one on what it is.
Yeah, this is a...
I guess they could trade Mastroboni, too.
I just think this is a wait and see because, like, we mentioned all these names, and they're all on the 40-man. I just don't see all those guys being on the 40-man.
Do the Cubs think they know something about this guy that's going to unlock his potential at 26?
Well, again,
I kind of don't think so.
He was a top 50 prospect in all of baseball at one point in coming up. Like, I'm not saying that they see something. All I'm saying is they probably see him in a particular role. Someone in the chat said, maybe insurance if Horner isn't ready for opening day, which who knows where that's at this point.
Sure, but why him instead of Collis, Vasquez?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Workman, Mastroboni.
Well, real quick, you said that Michael Cerami said that he's not a huge contact guy.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's very funny because he's played in the Dominican Winter League for 6 years and has never hit a home run. So not only does he not have any contact, I don't think he has any power as well.
In the big leagues, he only has like 4 or 5, right?
Right, but it's not even a guy that's like, maybe they're trying to tap into some power at all. He can hit from both sides of the plate, but not well.
He's got to be good defensively. Has to be, right?
He has to. To me,
he's not good defensively.
No, I've looked at his StatCast
so he's not
numbers,
good at that either?
Glancing over, I think there's only 1 year that he's ever been positive in either batting, base running, or fielding. And
how does this guy get to be a top 50 prospect then?
I mean, it's been 3 years.
Prospects are suspect.
Prospects are prospects, man.
So I got a question, Sean, since you brought up the fact that nobody likes this guy. Why isn't there a team? If you're looking for a guy to play third base and second base, okay? And you're just trying to get someone to fill the gaps for Nico and hopefully Matt Shaw. You know where I'm going?
I know exactly where you're going. Because
Why
he's
is
a free agent.
Why isn't anybody kicking the tires on a minor league deal with Tim Anderson?
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were going to a different White Sox legend, Cubs legend, top 5 pick. I mean, this was supposed to be a 3,000 hit.
This guy's already
maestro.
better than Madrigal.
Can we just not? Can we?
But if we're just truly
you have to
answering,
bring up
Tim
Anderson?
Anderson
Truly
has done
answer-
more in Major League Baseball than anybody that's on that list that I just gave you.
I know, and unfortunately, I think if I'm picking between Tim Anderson and Madrigal, I'd probably just kick the tires on Madrigal.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there's any athleticism left with Tim.
It's all gone.
I mean, hey, Eloy Jimenez is signing minor league deals with
That's
the
what
Tampa
I'm
Bay
saying.
Rays, so I'm not putting it past
just
the
adding
idea of a
depth.
minor league deal.
At
but-
least adding
Matt-
depth for spring training.
At least
I think
What if
Madrigal
he
is
shows up
younger.
and starts looking like the Tim Anderson from the cornfields? Face of baseball.
The only way that Tim Anderson is coming back is if he comes out of the cornfields, like Field of Dreams style. Ray Liotta's holding the other's, different glove. Supposed to be shoeless Joe Jackson, but he's already.
Shane, not Sean Newbanks, says bring Baez back. LOL.
Did you see my tweet over the weekend about bias?
No.
So when the Tigers signed,
Did you see
Gleyber-
my grilled cheese tweet?
No, I did not.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Good
About
God.
Baez. About Baez.
I've
Wait,
never
did you-
seen someone talk about a grilled cheese as much as you.
It
Did
was
you
so
not
good.
see the grilled cheese? Because we can
No,
show
I
it right
didn't.
now. We can show it.
And let's
Here's
clarify,
the
grilled ham and cheese. Grilled ham and cheese.
Grilled
Honey
ham.
baked ham kicks that baby up a notch.
Not to really, go back on this grilled cheese thing, but I am with Steven. I feel like we should be seeing a little bit more.
Who
of the
asked you to
content.
comment anyways? Take away his microphone. Go ahead, Cody.
If it would have been me, I would have put an egg on there. Anyway, that's the end of that. Anyway,
Fried egg on a ham and cheese.
yeah,
Interesting. All right,
Someone's
go
got
ahead.
character over here. Anyway, Gleyber Torres signed with the Tigers this weekend.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
Right, 1 year, $15 million. Right, it's kind of like the Bellinger deal a couple years ago. He
Former
wasn't
Cubs
very good
reunion.
last year, but 1 year, $15 million with the Tigers. And so I sarcastically tweeted, the Tigers should DFA Javi Baez, and the Jed Hoyers swoop in, and he can play backup to Matt Shaw at third base.
Wouldn't that be hard? I just think that'd be hard for a guy that was a star here, a fan favorite, to just come back and just be the last guy on the bench.
I mean, again, I said it sarcastically. I'm not even
no,
serious.
I
about
know.
it.
I'm just saying.
But-
I do think that would be hard. That's kind of a hard situation, right?
Sure. Well, it's not like he's earning full-time play right now, Also, he's coming off I think he's coming off hip surgery. I think that's what he ended up having after he left Chicago last year when the Tigers came to town. I just say it because they played better without him. I'm honestly surprised they haven't just cut him. I mean, they just gave Gleyber that deal, and they have Trey Sweeney, who they had in the Jack Flaherty deal. I don't know. So I was trying to think outside the box because I think a lot of people want to see Shaw play at third, but
Yeah.
we also have a
Gary
little
says, "Don't
concerns.
forget Josh Rojas."
Yeah, I know. Josh Rojas keeps getting brought up every single show. Credit to Gary. But they do need an insurance or an insurance play there at third base too, just in case Shaw does really, 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 really struggle.
Right now, it feels like they're stockpiling them like the Bears stockpiled tight ends a few years ago. When the Bears had 11 tight ends on the roster, it just feels like the Cubs have gone through a long list of utility players. I mean, obviously since Zobrist, but who was the guy that they got from the Dodgers with the glasses? And then actually was decent for Detroit this year.
McKinstry.
McKinstry.
Yeah.
How many
He's-
former
yeah.
Cubs are on the Tigers now?
Well, that's because their front office is a
Yeah.
former Cubs guy. McKinstry he's fine, but
You're not going to cry about that either.
the thing is with some of these guys like Krallis, the guy that they got in the lighter trade, I don't know.
I don't know about any of them.
I don't
They're just
know.
guys.
Luis Vasquez, everyone raves about his defense, but can he hit?
I don't know.
I think Mastroboni, his defense versatility, he can go on a Linsanity run for a week like he did in Baltimore last season. But there's no consistency there. And as the president of the Miles Mastroboni fan club, I mean, it pains me to say that, but that's just the facts. And now this guy they got from Miami, it's I don't know, man. I think Shaw's got to get that full opportunity because at this point, I think Nico's not getting moved. Anyway.
All right, we'll talk more about that, plus Corbin Burnes in just a second. But first, Cody's going to tell us about one of our great sponsors here at CHGO.
Load.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action, Cody. Did you know that?
I did know that. Prize Picks, when I go on a Prize Picks, it's easy. You just choose more or less, Luke.
Yep.
Right?
10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings, excuse me.
Yeah, you can outwin up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. It's the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. They also have this great insurance policy where, like, if a guy gets hurt during a game, they won't hold it against you, which is awesome. It's probably my favorite part about Prize Picks. All right. Josh Hart, more than 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Michael Porter Jr., more than 18.5 points tonight.
Future Bowl.
Maybe George Kittle to score a touchdown against the Lions. Or maybe Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe both. I like those plays tonight. Download the app today. Use code CHGO. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game, Luke.
For the best way to end 2024, head to Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram and shop the Wrap Up the Year sales event to score some of the year's best savings on new vehicles before the clock strikes 2025. Hurry into Ray CDJR to browse their huge inventory of new vehicles, and right now, celebrate the end of 2024 with $24,000 off MSRP on new select vehicles with dealer discount, or shop over 125 vehicles that they have priced under 20 grand right now. Let the amazing team at Ray CDJR help you during each step of your car shopping journey with Ray's Price Promise. The numbers you're hearing right now are the same ones you'll see and hear when you go in-store and online. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you got to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or RayCDJR.com. Serving the community since 1963. Nothing says Happy New Year like a new vehicle in the garage.
Hell yeah.
New wheels. I don't know why Gary let this slip through the cracks, but he had breaking news. He says Slaughter might go to Korea. Jake Slaughter.
Cubs legend. Never forget.
Credit to Slaughter.
Before we talk about Corbin Burnes, to just kind of close on this, the Mervis and everything, like, I just want people to realize that two things can be true. Like, there was reason to have hope, because at a time when he was mashing in 2022, he went up 3 levels, all right? Hit over 30 homers in the minors, right? There was reason to have some sort of hope or optimism that maybe he could be someone. But also, as I said, the Cubs clearly never believed in him. They never believed in him.
Maybe not never, but once they had him long enough, like, right, they were able to get him because the draft wasn't as long as it was because of the COVID year. He would have been a much higher draft pick. He wouldn't have been a free agent.
Right, yeah. No, they would have drafted him. They would have drafted him sometime, right? But I think people it's not black or white here. Like, I think that he never got a full opportunity, in my opinion, whenever the team was in quote-unquote rebuild stage, right? And at the same time, their process wasn't necessarily wrong, because the few opportunities he got, he didn't take advantage of it. So, and to be able to move someone like that, who at this point I don't think has any value, for a guy who was once a top 50 prospect in baseball or whatever, like, that's fine. I think we need to see some of these dominoes fall with other guys on this 40-man roster right now to kind of put together like what's going to happen. So I don't know. I know people aren't going to agree with me on that, but
agreed. This is not a major trade. Even if it's just a move to tip a domino to get another domino to go later, fine. It is what it is. But it is a reminder that we love to talk about the prospects. Everybody wants to see the prospects. Here's a prospect we were all excited about at one point, excited to see him at least get a shot. They don't always turn out. I think could he go to Miami and have a nice short career as a major leaguer? Sure.
Yeah.
I might as well. I hope he does. We got nothing against Matt Mervis, right?
Yeah.
But is it more likely that he's Micah Hoff-Power and Brian LaHare than he is Anthony Rizzo? Yes.
At this point, especially at this point in his career.
So that's okay too.
Yeah.
Now, Corbin Burnes is a guy you prayed for and wished for and hoped for.
For a little bit.
Sort of a little Delulu for.
I was always only Delulu. I never fully believed. But it was always like, because of that Twitter account, Mock Bomb.
Right, they got you hooked.
Shout out to whoever runs Mock Bomb.
They reeled you in.
You made me as delusional as anyone on the stupid X app has ever made me. Right? Whenever you tweeted something, especially after you guessed that the Kyle Tucker trade was going to happen or whatever.
Right? Oh, wait, hold on a second. I should clarify. All-star Brian LaHare. Go ahead.
But anyway, yeah.
Like the all-star Ron Coomer.
Corbin Burnes. Let's just be real about it here. This deal, not only is it surprising that he went to the Diamondbacks, but if you were to go back, if you were to tell me.
Shocking that he went to the Diamondbacks for me.
Well, not only is it shocking he went to the Diamondbacks, but I think the deal he got too was surprising. I mean, at the beginning of the offseason, we all kind of thought, 8 years, $300 million.
We were thinking a $300 million pitcher.
Now, his market went down, and I think there's reasons for that, and good reason.
So why didn't it go down far enough for the Cubs to be?
Because they didn't want to give away 2 draft picks.
Maybe. But what if, I don't know.
International free agency pool money.
Sure, all that stuff, I guess, if you're worried about Roki, but all that stuff is nice. Corbin Burnes is a pretty good pitcher.
190 innings pitched last season.
I'll tell you this. Number one, it gives a surplus of starters to Arizona, which we can talk about that. How might that impact the Cubs? Because we know they're still looking for another pitcher. Arizona now has a surplus of guys. If Jordan Montgomery were to bounce back, he had like an ERA of 6-something this year, right? And makes $22 million.
He's gonna make $22 million next year.
Okay.
And it's a 1-year deal because he's a free agent after 26 or 20.
$22 million this year. Let's just say they hang on to Montgomery. If he were to bounce back this year, can you imagine what type of rotation Arizona, as good as anybody, right?
Yeah.
Burnes at the top, Gallen, Montgomery.
Fott.
I'd take,
Merrill
is it
Kelly.
Fat or Fott?
Fott.
Yep. He owned the Cubs briefly this year, didn't he?
Well, he's one of their top pitching prospects a couple years ago too. Yeah, like he's got a high ceiling, I think.
So is
Merrill
there some
Kelly.
Merrill Kelly? Is there somebody in that mix that would be available to the Cubs? Montgomery is the most obvious one, but 22 mil makes that unlikely in my eyes.
Well,
unless
I tried to have this conversation on Twitter a couple days ago. I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was trying to say. Maybe I should have worded it better, whatever. Like, the Cubs are in position here to do like the reverse Cody Bellinger. But I don't think that they are going to be involved if they have to take the entire contract. The $22 million next year, if they take half of it, I think maybe they'd be into it. But does Jordan Montgomery
22.5, yeah.
Does Jordan Montgomery put the Cubs in a does it increase the win total projection? Perhaps because I do think that I still think he's really good. No spring training last year, new home, didn't work out, all of that, right? And I believe in the Cubs pitching infrastructure, they'd probably get him back right if they were into it. And the only reason that I'm even into it at all is just because you're not really going to have to send anything for him. Because he was not good last year. So, again, like it's kind of like the reverse Cody Bellinger trade where the Diamondbacks are taking on a Cody Petite, whoever that is in the Cubs realm of pitchers, you know. I preferably would like them to go get a higher ceiling, a guy that has potential to be a number 1, number 2 in the rotation. But Montgomery is a nice depth piece that I think, this is what I tried to explain on Twitter, if you make a move for a guy like him, it allows them to then move a guy like Jordan Wicks, like Ben Brown, like
I don't know if I want to
Javier
move Ben
Assad.
Brown, but
Well,
yeah,
just
I know what you're saying. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ben Brown, Javier Assad. It allows you to include one of those three in a trade for another high-end starting pitcher. So
Or
you'd
closer.
or closer. I still would prefer a starting pitcher. And then you then have a really, really, really solid 6-man rotation, which is something that Craig Counsell has done in the past when he was with Milwaukee. Now, do I think the Cubs are going to do that? No. But in my head of scenarios that go through my head, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they would do this. Would I bet on that? No. But listen, like, we all know, like, the 5 guys that are in the rotation right now, we all know that the odds of them all making 30 starts is slim.
Yeah.
So they need more certainty. I think with Jordan Montgomery, if they were to do something like that, at least there's more certainty in the fact that he will eat innings, because he's done that over the course of his career. It's a big bounce back situation for him, considering he'll be a free agent again after 25. And it's
great. He's great in the postseason.
Been great in the postseason. Been great in the postseason.
If he can get there.
And
finally,
it's a 1 year deal. And you're not going to have to give anything really away for him. So it's like that, when you factor all those things in, like, I don't hate it. But if you're going to do it and then not do anything else to add to the rotation, then I'm not really into it. And that leads me to think, like, I don't think the Cubs would then do it. But again, in my idea of all the different scenarios, perhaps they would do it. But I also only think the Cubs would do it if they only had to eat like maybe 10 to 12 million of it. I do not think they would take on that entire contract. Because what would be the point? Why would you move all of Cody Bellinger's contract to then just take on Jordan Montgomery, who was objectively terrible last year, right?
Yeah.
I think they would be interested in it if
6.23 ERA last year.
I think they'd be interested if they didn't have to eat the entire contract. Now, that said, you'd have to probably send a little bit more than you would want for the Diamondbacks to hold on to some of that money. But again, though, like, he wasn't good last year. At least Cody Bellinger was productive last year.
I wouldn't mind if they did it if some of the money was not included, right? Like, it was just him coming in and the D-backs were eating some of the cash.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm with you on that. Some of the other guys I'd be interested, like Ryan Nelson is 26.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they need pitching depth too, but is that a name I could add in? Somebody in the chat, I didn't catch it. Somebody said, I'd rather see what Brown and Horton can do. Yeah, me too.
I do too.
If they're healthy, me too.
Yeah.
But because neither of them ended last year healthy, you've got to have
a backup plan.
Backup plans. Mm-hmm. You got to have your Drew Smileys. Sorry to say that, but that's, you know what I mean?
Like, you got to have someone with a higher ceiling than Drew Smiley, but the role itself, yes.
You got to have your Hendricks, your Smiley. Somebody in there has to be able to take the ball and hopefully better than the way it worked out last year.
You want me to dream? You want me to get real Delulu here, Luke?
Sure.
Like, they're not going to pay Zach Gallen whatever the hell that he's going to get paid whenever he hits free agency.
Get him.
Like, why not? We have the prospect capital to go get a guy like Zach Gallen.
How old is Zach Gallen?
I don't know.
What would you? I'm just trying to think. Like, well, they're not going to want to pay him either. But like, what would you be willing to give up for him?
Gallen is 29. Will be 30 August 3rd.
He's older. So he's not going to get a huge multi-year deal. Shorter term deal.
I don't know about that.
Crazier thing. I don't think. I'm saying he's not getting one of these 8-year deals that you're talking about with some of these other guys.
I think. Well, I haven't looked at his numbers, but
I wouldn't give him that. Maybe some team would, I guess.
Listen,
I wouldn't.
I say what I say because he's making like $13.5 million.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how many more years of control he has. It's either 1 or 2 years, but
he's a free agent next year.
Okay, so yeah, it's the same situation as Kyle Tucker. So maybe you wouldn't have to move much at all, but you certainly could do it. But like, why would the Diamondbacks do that after signing Corbin Burnes? Well, right. Like, again, getting Delulu here, but
the point is the Cubs are going to have. You can't. We're still over 2 weeks away from Rocky's decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically. Yeah.
Don't you think the Cubs have to do something regarding starting pitching before Roki?
Yeah.
You got a couple days, 1 day left in 2024, and then you got the first 2 weeks of January. This is the type of team you can look at and say, all right, if they're not going and getting the guys that they were talking about before, is this a team that could be a fit? Well, they have a surplus, so maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would agree that Montgomery is unlikely because of the cash.
Yeah. But the idea of adding another depth starter and then still trading for or signing for a higher end starter, which at this point with Burnes and Fried off the market, I guess Flaherty would be the next high end guy.
Still out there, yeah. Buehler's off the market.
I'm only into Flaherty if it's for 3 years. I've seen projections of 4 to 5 years for him. I'm not into it. So I don't know how they're going to add a number 1, number 2 guy in the rotation on the free agent market at this point. To me, it was always.
I don't think they are.
To me, it was always either Burnes or Fried, and I thought Fried was the most realistic. And then the offseason started, and the Cubs were not in linked to him at all, right? And now, they've been active on the trade market. They almost made the move for Luzardo. They got scared because of the medicals. They stay away. Okay, then what's the next?
Flaherty's got plenty of medical history right?
I mean, a lot of these pitchers do, right? So
they all get hurt.
So to me, I as I've said, I still think the trade market is still the direction they're going to go, and I think it's the best direction. You're going to have to give up something if you want a really good starting pitcher, but you have the prospect capital to do it. And yeah, I want to see Ben Brown, I want to see Cade Horton, but man, the Cubs are just not in a position to be banking on those two guys to stay healthy. Ben Brown's been hurt each of the last 2 seasons. Cade Horton had Tommy John and got hurt last year. If there was more certainty, if Cade Horton would have debuted last year like he was scheduled to, and we would have seen him become a guy, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about how the Cubs need to go get a number 1, number 2 starter.
Right.
But now where we're at, it's okay, if you can trade for a controllable starter that has a ceiling of being a number 1, number 2 guy, and eventually you add Cade Horton to that, you potentially have yourself a really nice rotation to go with Steele and Imanaga. Tyone as your back end number 5 guy. That's solid. On top of Matthew Boyd too, and if he stays healthy, you got a nice little situation there with some upside with young guys. That's a situation you want Cade Horton coming into. I don't want to go into 25 hoping that Cade Horton comes in and provides that extra spark into the rotation. So that's why we're sitting here talking about how the Cubs need to add another starter. And in my opinion, needs to be a top 1, top 2 guy, because I don't know if Imanaga will give us the same type of season. Steele has been hurt each of the last 2 years. Tyone eats innings, but he's only getting older. He doesn't generate a lot of whiffs. And Boyd, I mean, he was great last year in his time with Cleveland for sure, but the injury history does scare me. So you at least need more depth, in my opinion.
Well, I've said Arizona probably has a surplus because they want to have some of those guys definitely be in their rotation. But they could also be looking at it as, listen, we added Burnes, we are going for it, and we have to have that depth because everybody's realizing you're going to lose multiple pitchers throughout the season. You just are. And so if you can stash some of them, maybe it's worth it.
Is the biggest thing that they're going to spend this offseason on Matthew Boyd, though, at $15 million a year? Because I'm looking at their numbers right now. Fangraphs has them currently spending $174. The first luxury tax threshold is $241 million.
That's a good
point.
So yeah,
realistically, you
Could
have $60 million to spend, because then you have a $7 million gap to be under the luxury tax. they should be in on Santander. They should probably be in on Bregman. I don't know where he's going to end up. He has a horse with Walker Buehler, so maybe they'll be horse buddies in Boston. But I don't know. It's very surprising that they're just not more.
I think they're more active on the reliever market in terms of free agents.
Why are you spending on relievers? Just as a tortured White Sox fan who saw our hopes and dreams rely solely on a bullpen that we spent way too much money on, go spend it on like Kyle Gibson even. Kyle Gibson will give you, a very mediocre year, but he's never under like 1 WAR. He's never over 3 WAR. He'll give you 190 innings pitched. Like, I just don't understand why they're being more active.
It's a good point. What's tricky about it is what we always say, like, there's nothing more volatile than a bullpen every year, right? Like, so investing in a bullpen is crazy. The problem is the Cubs haven't had a good bullpen for a couple years. So how are they going to fix it?
Yeah. Well,
they have to invest in it, unfortunately. Now, you don't have to go crazy, but it can also ruin a team.
I'm not saying
it can
they're
also
going to
ruin a team.
I'm not going to say they're going to go and sign like 5 relievers, Sean. I'm saying that they're probably going to sign like 1 or 2. And that still gives them plenty of money to spend on something else. So, yeah, like you're asking a question that a lot of us are wondering, dude. You're asking a very valid question. You want to sit here and
credit to you.
You want to sit here and ask the question again, Luke, why the Cubs weren't in on Corbin Burnes? I think it's a combination of both ownership and Jed. You think Jed wants to give away 2 draft picks in our time of watching him be
he might not be here to use those draft picks anyway.
But I'm just saying, like, I think that the draft picks that they would have had to give away was something that he didn't want to do. And whether you agree with that or not, like I genuinely think that's a Jet thing. And then on top of the, he's going to make $35 million, and they want to stay under the luxury tax. Like, is that a Tom thing? Yeah.
But at this point, Jed has to have like what, first degree burns from how hot his seat is? Like, I don't understand the point of exactly what you just said. Why are you holding on to draft picks, or why are you worried about the future when this could be your last year as the Chicago Cubs?
I would try and be as good as I can this year.
President of baseball operations. I like Carson's idea of Pablo Lopez, though, because the Twins are broke. The Twins need to desperately get rid of money. If you're looking for a starter, that's a guy that just makes more and more money each and every year. He's not a bad idea. I like Pablo Lopez.
Brendan did a really good breakdown about Pablo Lopez on one of their recent shows. Whether it was
all kinds of heat maps. Oh, the heat maps.
Also, he gave a really good pitch on how the Cubs should be trying to get Roki Sasaki, which I was like, this makes a lot of sense.
I think Evil Wax said earlier, I'm starting to have this feeling that we don't have a snowball's chance in hell for Roki. I think it was Evil Wax.
Listen, he took the meeting. Not a lot of teams are getting the meeting.
It's better than nothing.
I think where a lot of fans are at this point, we're just like, the high of trading for Tucker has started to wear off. And now people are getting impatient again. And like, I get it.
It wouldn't be if Tucker came with like a 4-year deal.
Sure. But like, I think this is what I've said to a handful of people on social media, is that like, you don't trade for Kyle Tucker and you don't trade or don't sign Matthew Boyd and do all these other things that you've done already this offseason and then just stop. I just don't think that Jed is that dumb.
But wait, that's what we said after they signed Counsell last year to $40 million.
Well, they did end up signing Shota, and they did end up trading for Bush. And listen, I know it wasn't enough. But they've already done more than last offseason.
Those were their 2 best moves, yeah.
They've already done more than they did last offseason. So, do I think Roki is holding things up? I mean, I hope not, but I get the feeling I understand why some fans feel that way.
But why, though? Because it's not even a part of the actual money for the major league team. I mean, all the money that he's majorly going to be paid is the bonus, which is completely separate from the actual major league team. And what, he's going to make at a base salary $100 or $800K? He's a minimum league salary. He should not be holding up things. And the fact that you're already in the top 6, you should probably be like, hey, we should give him more toys to play with.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, we want. Listen, Roki's the dream. If you can get Roki and Tucker in this offseason, even if it were a rental, I'd say pretty good offseason. You've definitely made yourself better than last year.
Yeah. Well, and then I think you got to continue to, like we talked about in the first half of the show, like you got to figure out the bench situation. I think the bench has potential to be better than last year's bench.
Yeah, and what Sean was talking about Santander and stuff. Well, now Say is your DH.
Yeah.
Whether he wants to or not, Say is your DH. So I don't
see how Santander fits on this team
unless Say were traded as a piece to go get something else. But then, boy, that's a lot of moving parts at one time.
And I also just don't think it makes the team. Do I think Santander increases the win total for the Cubs if you move Seiya? Like, I don't know.
Where's Canario at these days?
Is he
the next guy to get traded?
At this point, he's like a guy that could be on the bench. Like, I don't, that's a valid question.
I did put, real quickly before we go, I did put in the Discord, maybe we'll hit some tomorrow. Anybody got a question, you want to talk before the end of the year? End of the year questions you got? Gary put out, what do you think of the coaches added, and how will they impact and teach the players to be better? I have, to be perfectly honest, no idea. Because number one, even if I knew who they were, like, you know what I mean? Like if I knew a lot about the guys, I don't know what the value of a coach is in baseball. I think I know the value of a manager. It's not as high as it is in other sports. But at the same time, a bad manager can really sink a team.
Sure.
I don't know about coaches. They go through them like.
It kind of reminds me a lot of just how fans give too much credit to managers if they win, and they give them too much blame if they lose. They picked up Quentin Berry to be the third base coach, or is he the first base coach? Like they completely they changed first and third base, right? Hottovy's still going to be here. Dustin Kelly's still here. Those are the two coaches that matter to me the most outside of Council. I think Hottovy is a genius.
Barry is third base.
Barry is third base, and that's what I thought. But
credit to me, I was wrong.
So how do I think? Like, just to try and answer the question, Gary. For me, we know how much this team had struggled with base running last year, getting thrown out on the bases. So to me, it's all about just like what we see moving forward. Like, will we see a clear difference from him at third base instead of Willie Harris?
Wave him home, Willie.
I hope so. They
liked how aggressive they told us they liked how aggressive Willie was because they couldn't produce runs.
Sure.
Okay.
Perhaps.
He's not here.
Council's bringing his guys in. To me, Craig Council deserves that opportunity, that chance to bring the guys that he wants on his coaching staff. He didn't get the chance to do that last year. So at this point, we'll see how that works.
I have no thoughts on a coaching staff. Manager, sure, but like I can't even tell you who the first base coach or third base coach is for any major league team.
While I agree with you, the only way that I've gotten excited about coaching is this kid, Walker McKinven, we hired from the Brewers. So I feel like I'm having my Craig Council moment this year.
He's the guy.
But he's got 9 fingers, apparently, is a defensive maestro.
Oh, yeah.
Could probably turn, Eric Kratz into Yadier Molina.
He can turn Moncada into a player.
Probably. He could probably turn Moncada into a catcher. Apparently he's that good.
I just think that when you talk about base running, the guys at third,
no idea what the impact will be.
We'll see.
And will it have anything to do with the coaches? I don't know.
The only coaches that I feel like you can tell, the only coaches that I feel like you can tell that you see or you can feel confident in is like what Tommy Hottovy does year in and year out, and what Dustin Kelly has done in his short time with the Cubs too. Dustin Kelly I honestly don't think Dustin Kelly's gotten enough credit.
Sure.
Real quick.
Yeah,
Cody brought up Anthony Santander. Who was the last Cub to hit 40 home runs in a season? Because Santander
Derek Lee.
Do you know the year?
2009.
Cody's right with 2005.
5.
That's pretty good Cubs trivia by you. You guys were not stumped.
No, we were not stumped. All right, we got to go. We're back with a final show for 2024 tomorrow at 11:30 live right here on YouTube, Roku, all those great places. Hope you'll join us then. Thanks to everybody out there that joined in the live YouTube chat. We appreciate that. We'll probably do some, what do we call those?
Got to do the rest of these Discord questions tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll hit some Discord questions. And of course, we'll talk about the big trade that'll happen tonight. Until then, thanks for watching. And
New Year's resolutions, too.
Like Sammy, fly the W.
All city like the mayor.
Who was I thinking?